Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Make It Last podcast. I'm your host, Noreen Dude. It's all about helping us to have relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. And I'm excited about this episode, and I'll tell you why. The name of the podcast is Making It Last. And our topic today is how to make it last. And in this context, it's going to be romantic relationship, because we're going to be speaking with a couple who's been married for over 39. I'm going to say that again. 39 years. That's a long time. Okay? That's a long time. They were partners for 15 years in a film company, but listen to this. They were on a small boat for 17 years. Now, if you've been on a long drive with somebody, I bet you probably have an idea of what that is like. But to be together in a confined space for an extended period, that to me gives some indication that they know how to coexist harmoniously. Rob and Dee Dubin, welcome.
Well, thank you for having us, Noreen. We actually tell people we've been married 147 years because those 17 years on the sailboat are like dog years. Each one counts for 7 years.
Wow, wow, wow. So we're gonna be talking about how 39 years is a long time. Well, how did you find a way to coexist for such an extended period? Because in sharing that, we will then get some nuggets in terms of how to make our relationships, specifically romantic relationships, last.
Well, I would say we often hear people say that marriage is work. And I kind of struggle every time I hear that because for us, it just doesn't seem like it's work. It seems very easy. It's like the most natural thing in the world to be together and to care for each other in that way.
Dee?
It's life, it's partnership. We have many choices in life, and how wonderful to have a foundation of a partner to share your whole life with.
Tell us a little bit more about the whole idea of partnership, because for some people see marriages differently because depending on how you're socialized. Yes. So for you, when you think of a partnership, what does that mean for you?
Well, I think when we started working together initially, I had a film production company. Dee had this kind of skills that were going to help us in our company. And so she joined my company not long after we were together. And right away, you learn how to work together because if you get in an argument at home and then you go to the office, there's that same person there. Or if you get in an argument with your business partner and you go home, there's that same person. So from the very beginning of our relationship, we had to learn how to communicate well, how to respect the other person's opinion and ideas, know that they're not always going to see things the same as you do. So that helped us right from the beginning. And when we got on the boat, it really was no different. It was very easy to be together all the time.
I noticed you said it was easy, because there's some people, and especially with the pandemic where a lot of people you have to work from home and you're stuck together, so to speak. You said it was easy. Why was that easy for you, Rob, and for you, Dee? Why was that easy?
Go ahead.
Easy, I think, because it's respect of the other person. Sure, there's love involved, there's attraction involved, but it's the real respect of that individual and myself are forming a relationship which makes life even bigger.
Okay, and for you, Rob? What was so easy?
I would say the same thing. It's really a deep, abiding respect and for the other person is sort of the basis of our relationship, I guess the foundation. When you're on a sailboat and there's just two of you on a boat crossing the ocean, one of you takes care of the boat while the other
Mm-hmm.
sleeps. So every time you go to sleep and the other person is running the boat, you're trusting your life to them. And you alternate watches like this multiple times a day. So 3, 4, 5 times a day, you're going to sleep to get up your 8 hours, and all during that time, you're completely trusting your life to your partner.
Mhm. This respect, though, is it something that you've always had for each other? It's something that over time, and if so, how then do you ensure that you maintain that level of respect?
I think there was certainly attraction in the beginning. I think the respect grows when you getting to know a person. And one thing that I found very important for me as I look back is I needed to bring a full person to the relationship, not just follow the lead of the other. I joined Rob in his business, but I needed to bring my full self to our life together.
I love that you said that just now, full self, because you grew up hearing that you must find somebody to complete you. So then a lot of people go into relationships thinking that, oh, this person is supposed to complete me, but I noticed you said you had your full self. Yes. Yes. And for you, Rob?
Well, I caught the same thing that Dee said that you did, that you bring a full, whole you to the relationship. And I completely agree with that. Uh, I talk a lot about happiness and having a fulfilling life. And
Hmm.
I think the core of that kind of talk that I do is exactly that point that Dee just brought up. You have to be a full, whole you and love yourself and know yourself and be living for yourself. And when you bring that to a relationship, then you can find another full, whole, complete person, and together you create something much bigger than the two halves.
Okay. I'm gonna if you're not comfortable sharing, how did you all meet and how do you get to meeting when you're much younger to know 39 years later? Because 39 years is a long time.
Well, we met through mutual friends. We had some friends that were very social. They always held big Thanksgiving dinners and big parties. And this was Dee lived up in the mountains of Colorado near where these people lived. And so we met multiple times at these people's house. We always had an interest in each other, and then eventually we got together, and it was kind of interesting because I we met actually right after Thanksgiving. We went skiing together one day, and so that was at the end of November. And then in January, I took off to Mexico for a full month to make a film down there. And Dee had just been transferred in her job. She was building condominiums for a big construction company, and she got transferred to a place that was about a half a mile from my house and was about 40 miles from her home. So while I went to Mexico, she house sat for me. And then when I came back from Mexico, she just wouldn't leave. So we've been living together ever since.
Is that your version of the story to me, or his version is the version?
Yeah, I still kept my mountain house, so we had two places, but it was working. So why not? Let's go ahead. Let's build our future.
It really
Okay.
was that way because we were living together a month after our first date, basically. And we've been together ever since.
Wow. I noticed one of the things you said though, because it's all about how it is that you've made your relationship last all this time. You said respect. What are some of the other nuggets you can share with,
Well,
with my viewers and my listeners?
I'll tell you
Hmm.
for me, the number one thing is if Dee ever wonders for a millisecond if I love her, then I'm doing something wrong. I want to make sure she knows at the deepest core of her being, every second of every day, day and night, that I totally love her and never have to wonder about that. So that's number one for me. Number two, I would say when you get in a disagreement, you can't meet each other halfway because your idea of halfway is really only 40% there to the middle. and her idea of halfway is only 40% from her side. So if you each come to what you think is halfway, you're still this far apart. So you really have to go 75% of the way to the other person's point of view if you want to meet in the middle. So those are a couple nuggets of how I respond. And I would say the other thing for me is I feel the emotion of love more when I'm expressing it to her than when I'm hearing her say, I love you. I mean, I love it when she tells me she loves me, but I feel the actual emotion of love on a much deeper level when I'm expressing my love.
Mm, mm.
And this way of operating that Rob has to make sure I know that I am loved, I really, really feel it. And sometimes it's hard to receive, but it helps me get out of my judgmental or self-criticism aspect, just saying, wow, look at this, I have this wonderful support. I really, really feel that. And from that I've learned, gee, I can share more too, I can express more. I'm probably a little more reticent on that. And
Okay. This podcast is called Making It Last. And today, this topic has been how to make it last, specifically romantic relationships. But we have to take a break and get a word from our partners.
Are you struggling to become an effective communicator? Let Noreen Daly, the communications specialist, get you there. Services include communications consultancy, one-on-one coaching, public speaking and debate training, leadership and team building sessions, plus much more. Visit noreendaly.com for more info. Noreen Daly, redefining the way you communicate.
So, the whole idea of a branding strategy sounded so exotic and so fancy to me. But after having several conversations with Neon, I now have a clearer understanding. I am sure of what my identity is, what it is that I want people to see Noreen Daly as. Thanks, Neon. Thanks, Splint.
Visit them at wearesplint.com.
Are you looking for one-of-a-kind products customized to suit your needs? Then shop at Trending Things, the place where customization is always an option. From personalized gifts to apparel, accessories, drinkware, and home decor, you name it, we make it. Get your favorite designs on any item for party favors, weddings, graduations, or any special occasion, all at affordable prices. What are you waiting for? Visit our website at trendingthings.com to order your trendy item today. Trending Things, bringing creativity to the things you love.
Have you been getting some nuggets about how to make your relationships, specifically romantic relationships, last? If not, welcome back and let's continue the conversation. I'm sure you'll get some. Right. I will have you back. Why do you think it's so hard for you sometimes to receive that? Is it based on just how you're socialized, just society? Why do you think that is so?
I guess, respecting myself, feeling good about myself so I can hear that somebody else, another being, really loves me in my core, even if there's a mess up somewhere.
Okay. So you said a lot. Respect, just making sure you come with your full self. Somebody who is listening or watching and they're saying, but Robin, it's easy for you to say. You've probably basically developed a rhythm and y'all know each other. But for a couple who's probably just starting or maybe just getting to know each other, what advice do you have to say to them in these early stages as you're getting to know each other to say, hey, if you quote unquote put in the work, maybe 30 plus years later, you'll be able to, do this?
I would say I could offer maybe 2 or 3 specific things.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is when you get in a disagreement, take a step back, maybe take a deep breath, try not to yell, try not to change your tone of voice, and maybe you need to each go to a separate room for a minute, but then come back and communicate and figure out what your issue is and try and do it without all that emotion. So that's certainly something that we've always worked on. A couple other things we tried to to adopt is never go to bed angry. So if you have a disagreement and if you can solve it before the day is out and talk about it before you go to bed, then you kind of nip things in the bud and they don't fester and get worse. Another one is sometimes you might just ask yourself, if you're having an argument, do you want to be right or do you want to be in a relationship? And that's really a good one, you know. I mean, pick your battles. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And then I would say that one of the most important things is, how can I put this properly? Never threaten the relationship. Never say, if you don't do this, I'm going to leave. Or if, you know, if you, because when you threaten the relationship, that makes the other person feel scared and nervous. And just the opposite of that feeling that I try and create for Dee so she knows she's loved and that she says is the basis for her relationship. If you threaten the relationship, then that person is on uneasy ground and they're going to be in an unresourceful state. And so if you know that you have this deep abiding love and you know you're going to work it out, then you're more resourceful, you're more creative, you're a better communicator. And so you do all the things that then make the relationship work. And I'll offer, I guess, just one other thing that I know has helped our relationship over the years. You know, sometimes they say opposites attract. Maybe there's truth to that. I think that 39 years is a long time. Obviously, neither of us are the person today that we were when we met. And when you meet, we weren't particularly young. I was 29, she was a few years older. But particularly when you meet in your very young age, in your 20s, you have no idea the person you're going to become. And we know that we feel very lucky that we grew in the same direction. But part of the reason that we did grow in the same direction is we like the same things. We do the same sports together. And, you know, I don't go off and have the guys' poker night and the guys' weekends and all that stuff. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but she's my best friend. I'd rather be doing stuff with her most of the time, or at least in a group with her part of it. And so we did a lot of the same things together. We ski and we kayak and we hike in the mountains and we love to travel. And so when you do all those things together over 20, 30, 40 years, you're more likely to grow in the same direction so that 40 years later, you're still two people who have a lot in common.
And I'll also add, I found I needed to ask for my own quiet time. When I need time to myself, or, you know, I feel things are getting tense, like Rob said, we might go to separate places. But I find just on a regular basis, I need my own space. And I create that, even we would create it even on the boat, having our own time so that we each can be a strong person. It's not always serving the other or doing the other. You need to respect and nurture that own self.
Nice. As we're wrapping up, you said a lot, but if and I want you all to do it, you know, separately. If each of you could then give a 3-step process in terms of how to make it last, specifically romantic relationships, what would that 3-step process be?
I would say number one is bring an entire whole you to the relationship. Because if you're living your life for other people, if you're a reflection of whatever person you're around, if you're a people pleaser and you're this person with one person and you're a different way with somebody else, you're not living an authentic life for yourself. So I would say number one, you have to live authentically and be a whole, full person who loves and cares for themselves. And then you have to bring that to the relationship. And then I would say you just have to be maybe less judgmental. You know, we're all different human beings. If some event happens in our life, she's not going to respond to it the same way I will, because we're different people. And we came to feel that was a strength for us. I don't expect her to have the same response I do, and her response isn't wrong and mine isn't right. They're just different. So that would be number two, is to be a little less judgmental. And then I think the third is that deep, abiding respect for each other. So at the bottom of the day, at the end of the day, you care for this person so much that you're willing to do whatever it takes to make the relationship work.
Dee.
And for me, realizing the relationship is something so important that you want to work on it. And that means seeing that other being as who they are. We make up dreams about what our partner would be like or what Rob is, but I've got to make sure I am seeing the real person there, seeing his individual light, which is extraordinary. So you've got to open your eyes to reality and maintain a calm center so you see the light in the other person. And then show some patience too. That's that back to respect sort of that. So they do something different or you would have done it another way. Hey, that's who they are. Let them have room to be themselves too.
You said a lot and you shared a lot, and I'm sure there's so much more that you could share. So we probably will need to have another conversation regarding this, because I can't get over the 39 years though, because
we're just getting started.
Oh,
yeah. Noreen, it doesn't. That number is huge, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels new every day.
Wow, you've said a lot, and I'm sure my listeners and my viewers have gained a lot. Thank you so much for sharing, Rob and Dee.
Thank you for having us. We love what you're doing.
Thank you. This was Make It Last podcast. It's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.